day in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast. Brandon and Chuck today. I'm lost here. Brandon from BattleBox, and we're talking about land navigation. See what's going on. So I don't know. Give us a little bit of your background, I guess. Let's kind of start there for a minute.
Oh, background. Huge background. I was the only child, so I had to entertain myself, and I did that by going out in the woods back in the day when it was safe to do so, and,
Yeah, right?
and there was more woods to be had. Now it's all neighborhoods and freaking
Yeah,
buildings in most places. But yeah, man, I'm just an outdoorsman. I always was hunting, fishing, and camping, and goofing off in the woods to entertain myself because I didn't have brothers or sisters to beat up on, you know. So, um, and I just fell in love with it. I guess it's kind of my happy space, you know what I mean, or my place to kind of get away from reality. And I just still do that. And I don't know, it formed into me eventually as an adult being the face of a subscription box company, which is crazy, but
yeah.
that's how it worked out. So
But hey, doing what you love, right? I mean, it's all about
yeah,
outdoor stuff, and so that's no, that's not a bad way to be. I've always
yeah,
kind of
always been a gear junkie and stuff like that too. So, and I love knives and all, just seeing what I can learn how to use to enhance my abilities. Like I never refer to myself as a expert or anything like that. I feel like we're always learning, right? So
I think that's right. I mean that's one of the things is I find that like I've been doing this since I think 2016, talking about nothing but like prepping and survival, and it's like, gee, I guess I am an expert. Like
yeah,
because you research the heck out of stuff, and obviously takes practical application to a lot of things. Obviously
right,
everybody's knowledge shouldn't just come from books or whatever. Um, but yeah, you just the more you get into it, and it's like, well, I know a whole lot more about this subject than
yeah,
99% of the people out there. And you realize that, because it's what you do, and that's the thing.
yeah,
That's
yeah. And I've done I'm kind of information junkie in a ways. Like I got real bad ADHD, so like if something catches my attention, I'm not happy until I just beat that dead horse to death to learn or figure out as much as, and that could be with anything. I mean, um, I was a mechanic, a chiller mechanic. I've always been a person that was interested in how to fix things and stuff like that. So I'm very well rounded as an individual when it comes to, I mean, this shop that I'm in now, I built, myself, and it's all from at some point in my life I wanted to build something, and I dove headfirst into trying to learn how to do it right.
yeah,
So that goes with survival, prepping, camping, hunting, firearms, long range shooting, close quarters combat, navigation, fishing, fixing a vehicle, building a house. I'm that guy. Like I know enough about a lot of stuff to be considered by a lot of people as an expert and stuff, whether I say I am or not.
yeah.
So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. No, I think that's what it comes down to. So land navigation, kind of jump into it. The like my knowledge, I grew up. I was in the military, but on the Navy, so we don't no land navigation there. I got a guided missile cruiser, so I don't know about
right,
that. But yeah, I did the Boy Scout thing growing up, and you got your compass. I can orient a map and understand the topography of a map and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I know which side the sun's on. I know about
right.
maybe looking at moss, but I don't know. Like what are the aspects of land navigation? Like what would you even what are we talking about? I guess. I mean, is it working a compass and a map or
Well, I mean, honestly, man, a lot of stuff, and this is true with literally everything in life, comes down to the basics. You got to have the basics down. I think a lot of times we try to um, overcomplicate things, right? Um, and a lot of people do not understand the basics of a compass, just the basics. I don't care if you could figure out inclination and freaking how to use this thing with a map. If you can't walk a straight line, you're screwed. I mean, you know, the basics of walking a straight line, the basics of understanding your declination, depending on where you are in the world, to get true north versus magnetic north, understanding parallel. Like if me and you were in the same block of woods and we said, okay, we need to go 170 degrees, which is dead west, right? Well, if you're 300 yards that way, your west is parallel to my west. We're never going to meet each other
Right.
until we get the, well, I guess we're never going to hit each other because we're not going north or south. We're just going to constantly go around the earth on our parallel axis of each other's west. The basics get overlooked and people get scared of using this stuff. Like they
Right.
see all these numbers, they see all this stuff on here. At the end of the day, it's a basic compass. The freaking needle points to magnetic north,
Right.
and you just need to understand that it's a director. It's not um, a pinpointer necessarily. Now it can be in the advanced side of things, right? Like,
Right.
but a lot of people will never use the advanced stuff. I don't like.
Right. And that's
I,
it. I mean, yeah.
yeah, and it confuses me when you get into the real hard, heavy, advanced stuff. So, like, screw it. I just want to be able to, like, when you're already lost, this may not help you at all if you don't understand the
That's it.
hardcore
If you
stuff.
don't know that town is north of, whatever, you
Yeah,
can see a mountain peak that you know where it is, and town is
yeah,
north of that or whatever, that,
right,
yeah. Or if I follow the creek, it goes north and town is north, whatever, that,
right.
that might help you. But if you don't have a landmark,
If
you're
you don't
kind
have a landmark or you
of,
didn't
and a
use this right at
perspective.
the beginning
Right.
of getting out of your vehicle,
Right.
it's not probably not going to help you. So, um, and that's another thing. Like people don't like when I first started learning how to do a compass. I'm going to age myself a little bit, but
Uh-oh.
when I first started hunting by myself without my dad or on a known property, um, I didn't we didn't have cell phones like this now. Like we didn't have Google
Right.
Maps, we didn't have any of this stuff, right? Um, it was still, you know, bag phone, and I think the flip phone was just about to come out. So
Right.
so
Right.
when we would go hunting in unfamiliar places, we had what we called a safety waypoint, which would be like if we're parking on a road, we know this road is going east and west, east to west.
Mhm.
So as long as I can come back to that road,
Right.
I'm at least at the road. I can go one way or the other, end up finding my truck, right?
Right.
So we get out of our truck and we go, okay, we want to hunt this way. Well, what is that way? So we put our back to the truck. We know this road's going east to west. So I know that if I go, south or north, depending on which way I was looking,
Right.
if I go the opposite direction, I'm going to hit that road
No
somewhere,
matter what.
no
Right.
matter what. Um, so I'd be like, I'm going this way. So, okay, I put red in the shed. I know that's my north. I'm going, I want to go, south. I go south. When I come back, I know I need to come opposite and hit the road because I might veer, I might shoot a deer and have to track it. I might be, 300 yards
Right.
off my bearing, but I know if I go this way,
Right.
I'm
Of
going to hit the
course
road.
they right, and
You
they
know,
always run in the thick of everything, the
oh
deer
God,
they don't they start out on the trail and then they're gone, and you're like, "Oh man, now they're
yeah.
falling through." And yeah,
So my first tip would be don't be scared of a compass, right? And don't be too proud not to use it.
right.
That's another thing. Some people are like, "Oh, I'm good with direction." I am too. Like I did a lot of hunting. Like we used to go raccoon hunting a lot in the dark, and we always somehow got back to our vehicles because we just naturally understood and we kind of aware of our surroundings or whatever. But we were somewhere that we somewhat knew. Um, So by being able to do that, pride can get in the way sometimes. You'd be like, I don't need to use a compass. Then you
Yeah.
sure enough end up getting lost, and then
Right.
you're in a bad spot. Um, but the basics are the basics, man. Understanding how to set your declination. So like mine, I think it's -7 west in Georgia. So I make sure that I've set my declination to -7 west. So when I put my shed, my needle in my shed, I know that's
Right.
true north versus magnetic north. And -7 degrees doesn't sound like a whole lot.
Right. But you go
Um,
10 miles, 5 miles, even. Yeah. It makes a
yeah,
difference.
it makes a difference. So when you get your compass, typically the declination is set at dead zero of
Mhm.
magnetic north. So you need to adjust that. That's one thing people don't do, um,
Yeah.
especially if you're using a map, because the map's going to show true north, right? So
Right. Right. I think that's one of the other things is you had already touched on, about kind of, all right, well, we know which way the road goes or whatever, but I think it's so important before you go into the woods, like you said, is the key that to look around and what landmarks are there. Oh, there's a
right.
really tall building that I can see from, far out, or and
Hmm.
then at least if nothing else, yeah, maybe you're in the woods surrounded by trees, but if I can get to a high point, at least you have something to go off of, that you can
Right.
kind of see outside of, or look for mountain peaks, or know that there's a stream or a river that goes, like you said, especially, if you have multiple landmarks, that you can kind of go off of, just taking 2 minutes to kind of be aware of. I know, like, I grew up in New York, and, we're in the Catskill Mountains, and, you could look at the peaks and there are some very recognizable things,
Hmm.
and if you orient yourself before you go into the woods, it can make a big difference
Yeah.
on you getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in places like that, like mountainous terrains and stuff like that, because the more dense it is, the more difficult it is to walk a straight line, the more difficult it is to navigate, because and your compass doesn't know that there's a freaking cliff over there, right?
Right.
So you're bebopping around. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm walking a straight line going there, and then boom, you're at a daggum cliff with a 500-foot
You
drop
got
off.
hike back, or yeah,
You got
right.
to go around it or go. Now what do you do, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's but yeah, like you say, like you see a mountain that's got, a mountaintop or a hilltop that's got 3 radio towers on it, and when you
Right.
shot your
Exactly.
azimuth or whatever, okay, well that's on my right.
Right.
So if I keep that on my left coming back, I'm going to be in the vicinity, right?
Right.
It may not
Yeah.
take me exactly where I'm going, but
Yeah.
I
I
won't
know
be
I did
lost,
a,
lost.
a training course a long time ago, and they talked about how if people just naturally walk through the woods, like they're always turning, and you're never really walking a true straight line unless you have a fixed point.
Right.
You unless you're
You got
setting
to think
this point
about
way.
you got to think about your, like, if you were looking at a map and you stuck a pin punt a thumbtack or whatever they call them, a pin down into the map, right? It's 360 degrees around that thing. Well, if you put a pinpoint over here, it's 360 degrees around that, right? So if you're going 270 and 270, it's parallel to each other. So trees, all these landmarks are just pins on the map, right? So when you walk in a straight line, you wouldn't believe how. One main reason most people get lost in the woods is they can't walk a straight line, and
Right.
they find themselves walking in circles.
Yeah.
Because that's what we naturally do. Some people naturally, like one leg can be stronger than the other, and no joke, like just the way your head tilts, different people, you you will naturally drift in one direction or another when you're walking in the woods in a straight line. So some people that naturally drift to the left, they'll be doing left hand circles in the woods. People that drift right will do right hand circles in the woods. Um, and you learn that by tracking yourself, counting your steps, doing the training part of kind of navigation or traversing, woods and stuff like that, and figuring all that stuff out. And I didn't realize that until one time I did find myself walking. I tend to lean to the right when I'm
Uh,
wandering, and I always, for whatever reason, like I tend to go to my right. Um, so, but walking a straight line is something that I think everybody should practice in a controlled environment. You can go to a park, you can go to wherever, right? And the problem is a lot of people, they'll shoot something and be like, okay, well, there's that tree over there. That tree may be, if you could see that far, let's say it's 1,000 yards away, and you have to cross stuff to get there. Well, that tree's now, it's a fixed point, but it's moving to you, right?
Mhm.
Depending on where you're going. So, um, you need to learn how to shoot short distances. I'm going to get to that tree, and then when I get to that tree, I'm going to put the tree to my back, and I'm going to shoot again. I'm going to shoot another tree.
Right.
And some people are like, man, that's aggravating. Every 100 yards, I'm shooting a. Well, if you want to walk a straight line, you need to constantly be shooting your your direction, else you're going to get off of it. You know, um, because it's all about the pin and the map. You need to have your back to your truck. You need to have your back to the tree that you first shot to continue that straight line. If not, you're going to bounce off. You're going to be going parallel to
Mhm.
what you think is a straight line.
Right. I don't know. My goal is always aim for a big target, right? Then,
Yeah,
like I said, if I'm trying to hit a highway, probably gonna get there. If
yeah.
I'm trying to hit a house that's in the middle of the woods, every degree matters. That's
Every degree matters. Yeah. But it's a fun thing to do. I mean, you can set up little games or whatever for you and your friends. You can go out into a controlled environment. When I mean controlled environment, a place a
Mhm.
place that you can't get lost in. And you can put markers on trees, like go out there beforehand and be like, okay, when I get to this tree, I'm gonna put a marker on it and write like a degree heading. So when the person gets to that tree, they have to shoot that degree to get to the next tree that has the other heading. So it's kind of like a scavenger hunt, if you will. And then go out there with your buddies and use your compasses and try to find all the trees, that were
Yeah.
marked. And then you kind of, it starts making sense. But the main purpose of a compass is to get to a point and then get back to a point. And it's awful easy. It's just people get freaked out by all these freaking numbers and crap that
Yeah.
you know I never use. I just use the bezel and the red the red arrow and the shed in that thing. But it's it's and people, don't get me wrong, these are great,
Right.
right? But
They
these
are always-
fail.
Yep.
The batteries go dead.
I mean
They
that.
break. You know.
Yeah, I feel like now you get lost in the woods and it's like, oh, how do I get to where I have phone service? That seems to
Hmm.
be the goal of, everybody is. Oh, I just need to find, and it's not even necessarily that I can call or text somebody, but then I can look at my map or I can look at nobody even like has any concept anymore. You see people, they used to have all those videos of people like walking into things on the street because they're
Oh
so
man.
caught up and unaware of what's going on around them. And they're
Yeah.
staring at their phone or whatever. It's nice if you take a look at things.
Yeah. Yeah. Being aware of your surroundings is a big deal. Um, I'm constantly scanning and looking. I mean, I don't know. I just naturally do it. Like I'm the guy that never sits in a restaurant with his back to the door. I'm that guy. I'm always observing,
Yeah.
taking in information. You know, um, and
I
it's not a tactic of being like freaked out or scared or nothing like that. It's just, I don't know. It's how I'm wired. It's like I
become
just,
second nature. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that sounds right. Yeah, I don't know. I spend half my time in the woods staring at the ground looking for poison ivy, going, oh, I
Oh
better
god,
better
poison
not
ivy
step in.
sucks, dude.
It's
I'm
my
highly
nemesis,
allergic to that stuff,
I,
dude.
yeah,
God,
it's brutal. I
yeah.
just I just agreed. I'm always looking for the how to get out of working for the man all the time. And it's funny, I've been doing this podcast a long time, and actually now we're starting to have some success with it and good things. But anyway, um, another thing. So I have like a tractor and tillers and whatever, and so I'm
Right.
always like, well, how do I get out of my job and like sit on my tractor all day? I'd be a lot happier. That's the goal. And
Yeah.
I took a job for one of my neighbor guys, and he's like, "Oh, I have this trail through the back of my woods, and I want it to kind of be a car, drivable or whatever." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And I didn't pay that much attention when he took me for a walkthrough. And then I went over and started doing the work, and I'm like, man, this thing is poison ivy everywhere. There's the big hairy vines on the trees hanging down everywhere, and I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, man. And I got in there, and I got to say, I got through pretty unscathed. Just a couple of patches and a couple of
Right.
fingers, took the hit. But it's always something I'm aware of when I'm out there. I
Yeah.
don't know. I got a buddy of mine who's hounding me. He's like, "Yeah, you got to start drinking goat's milk. It'll help offset it, because they're eating it
Really.
all the time and whatever." I don't know if he might be crazy. So, who knows?
Dude, that stuff put me in the hospital one time when I was a kid. I think that was the first time we really realized how
Yeah,
allergic I was to that
that's about how
stuff.
I was. Yeah.
My granddaddy was burning brush,
Oh, yep.
big old brush pile, and I had a little dirt bike. I don't know, man. I was second, third grade, something like that. I had this little Honda 50. We called it the Honda Fat Cat. Had these fat tires on it, little motorcycle, and the wind was blowing, so there was like smoke coming across this small field. So I was riding my dirt bike through that smoke, like Evil Knievel, driving through the smoke or whatever. Well, that night I got to where I couldn't breathe. My throat was closing up. Took me to the hospital, and it was the poison,
Right.
all in the smoke and everything that I was breathing when I was running through it. And dude, the next morning when I woke up, my entire body was a breakout. Like
Yeah.
I looked like a giant pimple.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It was so bad, dude.
Yeah, quite a bit of I never had it with the inhaled from the smoke, and I've heard other people, tell that story.
Yeah.
Same type of thing happening to them. But yeah, no, I used to have like the eyes closed shut, your
Hmm.
face all whatever, and the welts, up and down your arms, like yeah.
Yeah, I get this like bad, like cystic. Like some people just get a few little spots. Like mine looks like a daggum mountain terrain has grown on my arm or my leg or something. It's freaking brutal, man. It's brutal. I hate that stuff. All of it. Ivy, sumac,
Yeah,
freaking
it's
oak, all of it tears me
right.
up.
That's it. I don't know which one I got,
Yeah. All
necessarily,
I
but
know
it's
is
like,
it don't like me and
yeah,
I don't like it.
exactly. That's it. No, that's fair. I don't know. Now, like, so if you're stuck without a compass, there are other options, just knowing your landmarks? Like what
Yeah,
comes
I
to
mean there's
mind? What do you
different
do?
things like a lot of times the trees, like where I live anyway, like more tree limbs grow on the southern side of a tree than not,
Yeah,
because where the how the sun kind of goes more in the southern hemisphere. Um, and just little things like that. One thing you can do is just understand that no matter where you are in the world, the first shadows point west. So if you end up having to hunker down for the night, be sure you're up in the morning where you
and
can
that's
get an
it. At noon,
idea of.
you're looking at the sun, you're kind of stuck. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, it's gonna
So
get me.
especially like in a desert situation,
Yeah,
like trust me, I have zero experience of survival in the desert. I've never been in an area like that, but let's just say you're in a desert situation where it's huge and vast. It's just an ocean of nothing, right? If you can put a stick in the ground first thing in the morning, that shadow is going to be pointing west, and then you can
right.
start putting together the puzzle, right? The last shadow is going to be pointing east. So boom, you got your east west, and then you can hopefully navigate from there. So just little things like that you can do. You can make a compass using a needle, um, you know, on a leaf in a little pocket of water in a mud hole or something like that. That'll
Right.
point to magnetic north. Um, but at the end of the day, you got to know what way you need to go.
Well, that's it. If you don't know the
So
town is north or whatever,
yeah,
then it's not gonna
but
help
there
you,
are
right?
ways. Yes, there's plenty
Yes,
of different ways.
fair enough. Just think of a big map, right?
Yeah.
Um, eventually you'll hit the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific,
Yeah, if
It's
you
just a
make it,
matter
you're
of time.
gonna hit something.
Eventually, maybe
Eventually.
halfway you hit the Mississippi, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And north and south, you got a long way to go. You know,
Yeah.
you
You
start
got
hitting
to
the
keep
ice, you
going,
want to
and
go back.
you got to know how to walk a straight line so that you keep going in the direction you think you're going.
Fair enough.
That would be key, is figuring out how to walk a straight line so you don't veer off and then you end up just doing this. You know.
Nice. Now, were you in the military or?
No, no, I was not. I wanted to be. Also, in addition to me being the only child, until I had my children, I was the last male in my family. Everybody else in our family had girls. So I was very now my uncles and stuff like that were in the military. They actually I wanted to be a, of course they're going to let you be what they want you to be, but
Right,
I
right.
wanted to pursue scout sniper in the Marine Corps. Um, I've always been a ballistic guy. I've always been a long range shooter. That's kind of my drug of choice. Like, I love just trying to hit something way the heck out there and figuring it out. And I started doing that at an early age. So that was kind of my want to do, you know. So I was working on enlisting into the Marine Corps, and my uncles and my dad um, invited me out to dinner one night and basically were like, "You're not doing this." I'm like,
Kill the
"Why?" You
family
know,
line, huh?
they're like, "If something were to happen to you, the current name on our tree is done. You have to get get through life and have some boys." You know?
Have the boys first, then we'll talk.
Yeah. So
There
that's
you
what
go.
I did, man. I took their
It's crazy.
advice and it worked
Yep.
out. I got two boys now.
Yeah, it's
So
funny. My grandfather was a Marine, and he was like he would call up recruiters like all through like junior high and high school, and I'd be getting phone calls. Oh, I heard you want to enlist, and I'm like, no, who are you? What? And these guys are just calling and harassing me all the time. I'm like, nope.
yeah,
But yeah, no, he said you're in. I'm like, yeah. I used to get that call a lot. I don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah. I wanted to. It was a group of buddies that I rolled with in high school. When that was kind of our pact. When we graduated, we all were going to do it, and I was the one that didn't. Um, and three of them are no longer with us out of that group. So
yeah, that's
maybe it
it.
was a blessing, you know.
Testifies.
So
Yeah, you're exactly.
yeah.
No, it's sad. So guns, so long range shooting.
Oh man.
What's your gun of choice here? What's your go to setup when you go to the range? Say you go to 1,000 yard or 500 yard or whatever. I don't know, long range. I don't know. Not
Well,
my wall. I'm
I've
100 yard.
I've finally graduated into the very pricey side of my long range
It can
rifles.
be.
So
Yeah.
I I now I have one rifle that I have converted. I changed the barrel on it and everything, but I've got two rifles that are that are full blown Jarrett custom rifles out of South Carolina. Um, and they're ridiculous, man. Oh my God, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Um, but oh my God, so I've got a I've got a competition, and I used to do, and I recently have worked on getting back into doing competition shooting. So I've got a competition rifle that's a 6.5 Creedmoor. That's a Jarrett rifle. It's a Masterpiece Arms chassis. Um, it's a 23-pound rifle. Like, it doesn't move when you pull the trigger on it. Um, and I've shot out to 1,700 yards with it. Um, I've got a 300 Jarrett, which is their own proprietary round. So it's like imagine a 300 Win Mag on steroids. So it's a 8 millimeter case with a 40-degree shoulder, neck down to 308.
Right.
So um, it shoots 185. I'm shooting 185 grain um, Burger hybrid target bullet at 3,200 to 3,300 feet per second with that. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It is nasty, and
Not so much up with yeah. When you're
it's
that
a
fast, you get ahead of it.
it's my grouping. So on that gun, I've shot it consistently shoots about a 2/10 of an inch MOA, 2/10 of an
Mhm.
MOA. My
Great.
Creedmoor, my best group of that is 900 tenths of an inch group. Like it's literally one hole. Like you can't hardly
Yeah.
measure it.
Right. Right.
Like it's if I do my part, it's
Right.
going to
Right.
do what it's supposed to do.
It'll do it. Yeah.
It's freaking nuts, and a lot of people don't believe it. I keep targets over here that I've shot to show people because they're like, there ain't no. I'm telling you, like it's a 1/10 of an inch or less MOA rifle
Damn.
if I do my part, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, yeah.
So, um, but yeah, man, I love it. I freaking love this stuff. I did me and a buddy of mine did the Mammoth Sniper Challenge earlier this year, which kicked our freaking butt. That was brutal. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to try it again next year.
Right.
And we do some PRS matches, and we do a match every year up in North Carolina called the Groundhog Match. It's pretty fun. It's a max 500 yard, but you have to shoot this little groundhog target.
Mhm.
Um, and just stuff like that, man. I love. We can go down a huge rabbit hole when it comes to talking about ballistics and long range
What about
shooting.
optics? Where do you lean there?
Dude, this is kind of a funny story. So, everybody wants to shoot the Night Forces and the
Right.
Swarovskis and the
Right.
freaking, all these high dollar things. And what's funny is I've got 3 extremely expensive rifles.
Mhm.
And a lot of people say you should spend as much on your scope as you do on your rifle or
Or more.
more,
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I used to be in that camp.
Mhm.
Um, and understand I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this where like getting a first focal plane scope was like super expensive. Even if the scope was crap, even if the glass was crap, getting a scope that was first focal plane, you had to pay a premium for it.
Right.
Getting a scope that was in mils instead of MOA, you had to pay a premium for it. Well, now you can get first focal plane, adjustable turrets, all the bells and whistles for not a whole lot of money. Now, there's still crappy
Yeah.
scopes out there that have all the features, and there's still very good expensive scopes that have all the features. But this company came out in the last couple of years called Arkin. So I had like Miopta scopes. I had some Vortex scopes and stuff like that. I never had the money to buy like the high end
Right.
Swarovskis
Right.
or Night Forces, but I mean Miopta makes a really really good scope at a decent price, comparable in comparison. Uh, Vortex makes really nice scopes, but they're still kind of pricey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I saw this Arkin company, and they were selling a first focal plane mil dot adjustable turret, 56 millimeter objective, freaking first focal plane, like all the bells and whistles. Great um, crosshairs, or my brain ain't working right now. Call it the proper term. Anyway, had all the features, all the specs look great. Japanese glass, which is really good glass, all this stuff. And the thing was like $430. And I was like,
That
that
doesn't
ain't no
sound right.
freaking
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I ordered one.
Yeah.
Dude, that scope is freaking amazing. So I've got a roughly $12,000 rifle with a $400 freaking scope on it, and it works great. It's amazing. So it's a 5x25 by 56 with a 34 millimeter tube on it. VPR reticle, zero stop turrets. I mean, and it's under 500 freaking dollars, dude, and it's amazing. So I've sold my Mioptas, I've sold all my other stuff, and I've got that scope on all my rifles. So I'm shooting the
Yeah.
same
All the way
scope on
around.
all my
Yeah.
rifles, and I made money by selling my other stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So um, so yeah, it's funny. Like people kind of pick on me. I go to a
Right.
competition with this super expensive rifle, and I'm like got a $400 scope on it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm hitting the targets, man, and it works.
That's
So
that's I always, you never know. And I gotta say, you can't try anything. I mean, yeah, it's so hard to find, somebody who's got anything. You might have one guy at the range who's got a fancy something or another, and but you don't have access to that stuff. We
Right.
did we promote a lot of stuff with Palmetto State Armory, and so they do
Hmm.
that the gathering they do
Right.
in South Carolina there. And so I went down, they had us down there this year, and we went down and to get to go to all the different, glass companies kind of thing and see all the different scopes and try them. A lot of that was like first time for me. I'm like, oh, I've
Yeah.
never, and I mean, I've shot a lot in the military and I've shot a lot at gun ranges and stuff, but everybody's got Leopold or Vortex and
Hmm.
yeah, I have some EO tech, which I got to say I'm not really impressed with, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, but again, I'm more 100-yard guy. That's where I
Right.
want to be. I want to be fast. I want to be,
Yeah.
get on target like right away, and that's my goal is just getting better and better with that. And
Right.
I do reasonable with some distance, but I've never shot beyond 300 yards, and so
Yeah.
not distance in a distance shooter world. A buddy of mine is all about 1,000 yard, and we have a local range here that has 1,000-yard range, but and he's there all the time, but you're spending so much money, and that always scared me. You have me intrigued with the $400 scope though, or $500 scope, wherever
Yeah.
that
It's great. I mean, and that came with rings, and that came with the
really.
rings and bases and the scope caps, and I mean that came with the God, my mind ain't working. The piece you screw on the front so the sun doesn't
Oh
get into
yeah,
your
the
eyes
shade thing.
bad.
Yeah,
The
whatever. Yeah,
shade.
yep,
It came with everything. Like it was a full package.
yeah.
Um, came with the bubble level to go. I mean, it came with all the crap for
Nice. Yeah.
500 bucks. And I
So
was
maybe
skeptical.
maybe
I
I
mean,
need
I
to
was,
throw some money at a Ruger Precision, and there's a
yeah.
there's a company. Oh man, I can't. It eludes me at the moment, but that does the barrels for the integrated suppress. It's like integrated weapon systems,
Hmm.
I think. And,
Yeah.
and they do the Ruger Precision. They'll throw the suppressor in the barrel kind of thing, like
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe
Yeah. And
that's where I need to be. Maybe I need to get
says
that
other
straight.
companies making a good rifle now that I've seen. Dang it, slipped my mind. It's not the Ruger. It's
Well, I was thinking budget. I wasn't mentioning
well,
premium.
this is
I was
this
mentioning
is a budget. This is a budget
premium.
one. It's
Yeah.
Bergara.
Uh,
Bergara's putting out some pretty good rifles.
nice.
Out of the box.
So
But yeah,
that's
man. I mean, it's all about. I mean, the way I look at it, if you want to get into shooting, no matter what your budget is, get something that's based off of the Remington 700 footprint as far as the action,
mhm,
and then you can. I mean,
right.
you can mod that thing out,
Customize
like
it.
change
Yeah.
the barrel, change the triggers, change because I mean that's what makes a good rifle is good harmonics and a good barrel and a good trigger.
Mm,
Um, and then you can play with all sorts of different things, different
right.
stocks and things from there.
Where are you at on triggers? Where do you go to?
I like Trigger Tech,
They,
so I shoot Trigger Tech Diamond and Trigger Tech Specials.
I, again, I come up short. I've never used them. We did a trigger episode, and I reached out to a ton of companies, and they were great. And but Timney, I think, won out on what we used.
Hmm.
I've used a
Yeah, they
lot
make
of.
a good trigger.
I used a lot of Geisley, or is that how you
Hmm.
say it? Geisley,
That's
right?
how I say it.
Exactly, right? Everyone's like, I don't know, Giselle, guys, I don't know, whatever. But I've used a lot of them, and I'm not impressed. I'm not the fan like they sell them as, but I'm also not in love with the whole two-stage trigger thing, like the way it
Yeah.
is. I
So
oh, I
I'm
mean
kind of
that's
dependent on platform by trigger. So like I've got a 6.5 Grendel that I built when I
mm,
first got into competitions, and it's a AR-15 platform. So
mm,
it's and a 6.5 Grendel is a 7.62 by 39 case or an AK-47 case, neck down to 6.5 millimeters for the bullet. So it's a short action, so you can run it, in the AR platform. And that was my first, like, and the reason I built that was I was going to a competition that you can shoot whatever, but majority of guys shot like bench rest rifles. And I
Hmm.
was like, I want to build a gas gun and go compete against bench rest guys just to say I did it, you know?
Right.
So me and a buddy, he built a 6 millimeter, I built a 6.5, and we went to the competition and we did really well. We didn't win, but we didn't. I mean, we were like middle of the pack or a little bit better than middle of the pack, which everybody like looked at us like we had a third eye when we were walking up with these
Right.
gas
Right.
guns
You're
because
out of your
everybody's
league,
got
buddy.
50,
Yeah.
£60, single shot bench rest rifles,
Mhm.
and but anyway, so that I have a two-stage Geisley trigger on.
Mhm.
What two-stage does for me on the AR platform is it forces me to have trigger control
Mhm.
um, for like a long-range precision shot. So short distance stuff, I would never go two-stage. Long distance stuff, if you have trouble with trigger control, I think a two-stage is good to kind of
It calms
get
it
you
down. Yeah.
get your brain talking better to your finger to be easy on the trigger because you can pull back until you hit that dead stop, and if you go any further it's going to go off.
Right.
So on an AR and long range AR platform, I kind of prefer a two stage. Um, but with my bolt actions and stuff like that, I don't shoot a two stage.
Mhm.
But I shoot a super light trigger, like it's
Yeah.
like
Like 3 pounds
maybe,
less. Like two and a
oh
half.
god, it's way less. It's like
Way less.
it's right at a pound. It may
That's
be
what people are telling me.
less.
I was talking to a guy last night. He's like, "Yeah, I have like a .8 trigger," and I'm like, "You
Yeah.
kidding me? Like,
It's at or under a pound. You put your finger in there,
it's going off." Huh?
you need to be, yeah, you need to be on target, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
because I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in you need the rifle to surprise you when it goes off.
Mhm. I'm with
Um,
you there, but
you need
yeah.
to concentrate on your target and let the
Yeah,
rifle do the rest.
again, in my my short distance world, like I think like 2.6 is like as low as the lowest trigger I have, and most are like that 3 pound,
Yeah,
somewhere right in that world. And
yeah,
yeah, but again, I haven't done the other. I don't know. It's not my world.
yeah.
So
So my 300 Jarrett has a dual trigger in it. Um, that thing's nasty. So that rifle I bought it used. It was built in 1993. Um, and back then they were putting jewel triggers in it. And dude, it's the most amazing feeling break you've ever. It's
right.
stupid. Like it's amazing. But that rifle, being 30 years old, 31 years old, it's a one hole. I mean, you shoot at 100 yards, it looks like one hole. I mean, you can't tell a difference. It's stupid.
I, yeah, hey, that's the way to be. Now, I'm seeing in the comments they keep pounding. Tell me about the scope that you got. What is it? Like, do you know the
It's
model
called
or?
the Arkin EP5, I believe is what it's called.
All right.
ARKEN is how you spell it, and I think it's called the EP5. It's a 5 by 25 by 56 first focal plane rifle scope.
All right. They'll have me forever and be like, well,
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, for the money, like, of course, there's things I can say I don't like about it, right? Like,
right, right.
but I'm comparing it to a freaking $5,000 scope, like,
And yeah,
so to my opinion, so my scopes were kind of in that 1,100 to $1,700 range was kind of where I was at with my scopes. I cannot see a measurable advantage.
mhm,
Anything that I've used and used of others that is in that $2,000 and below area, that's better than that $500 Arkin. So I've run the $500 Arkin. I mean,
right, right. I
there
mean, why
has to
would
be
you
a
not? Yeah,
substantial benefit to me to spend $2,000 more, right?
yeah.
Um, and I really can't put my finger on anything that is $2,000 and less that touches that $500 Arkin. I just can't.
Yeah. No, that's can't
And
argue that.
it's my opinion. I mean,
I mean,
Somebody
that's
else might buy it and say it's trash, but
right, right. And that's it. I mean, I keep going with my buddies. I'm like, well, I just buy the Vortex or whatever. But again, my distance is very different than the distance you're after. And, they give me grief. And I'm like, and the big thing, like I always hear is, Leopold, got to be made in America or whatever.
Mhm.
And I gotta say, they finally convinced me and I bought some Leopold scopes and I wasn't impressed. I was like, it's not. I mean, again, now mind you, I'm not spending 2 grand on Leopold scopes.
Right,
I'm buying $500 or less Leopold scopes, and I wasn't impressed compared to what $500 can do for me elsewhere.
right, right.
And I understand made in America, and I mean, I'm tried, man. I just like,
Yeah,
well, it's too
yeah,
far away. It just doesn't
yeah. I mean,
deliver what I
I
want.
see guys, man. I see guys that are running, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 optics.
Right.
Okay, I mean, you do you, bro, but I can't afford that.
Yeah.
So,
And
but at the same time, like there's a huge gap, right? It's like you shooting a Cabela special, okay? That's a 3x9 by
right.
40 or whatever, just typical hunting scope.
Right.
Um, you can't compare that to a freaking $3,000, $4,000 Night
Right.
Force. You can't compare that
Right.
to a high end Leupold or high end Vortex. You just can't. But people do it all the time. It's not apples to apples. It's just not. Two different purposes, two different price points. But the gap is so big from the Arkin to say a Vortex Viper HD or something. I just don't see the benefit in spending that more money. It's the Arkin does everything. I mean, I shoot 1,000 yards plus regular with this thing,
Right.
regular with it. And I mean, if I'm shooting a freaking 5-inch group, which is way less than a half an MOA at 1,000 yards, I'm happy, Jack. I mean,
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's
So,
it. You're shooting groundhogs
yeah,
at 1,000 yards with that, and yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I've shot pigs at 800, 850 yards, right square between the eyes with that
that's
scope.
crazy.
You know, so
Yeah, that's the way to be. All right, now
yeah.
tell me quick a little bit about BattleBox. What do people need to know?
So
They got you out
battle
here. You might as
boxes.
well tell 'em.
Oh man, yeah. I've been there since. So I was a customer to start with, um, and like by accident became the face of the company, and they ended up offering me a job, and I took that job in September of 16. So it was like a year and a half or so as a customer. Um, and it's a subscription box company, and what we do is we send out you know general outdoors survival prepping adventure type gear. In the beginning, it was viewed as a survival and tactical box, but the internet and the powers to be don't like the word tactical, right? So um, we had to kind of switch up because we couldn't market. We couldn't, they considered us as selling things that they deemed were bad, right? So now it's adventure and survival is kind of our tagline. But we send out all sorts of stuff. It could be medical, food supplies, knives, camping gear, EDC tools, flashlights, you name it, the whole gamut. And the idea is over time you build up a pretty good gear set of things to add to your preps or add to your general adventure that you're doing in the outdoors, be it if you like to hunt or camp or whatever. Hopefully you like to do a little bit of all of it. But it's just a fun way to be introduced to new brands, new products. We do a lot of first release stuff with a lot of companies. um, we we've got a huge community. Our community's probably the coolest thing, man, about it is we've got like a Facebook page that's for members only, and they get in there, man, and have a big old time. They trade gear, they get together and find out who lives near them that are into the same things, and end up becoming friends and kind of building their little wolf pack, if you will, in case something did go down, and training together, uh, and all that. So, I mean, we send compasses, we send hearing protection. If you like firearms, we send problem solvers, we send food preparations. A few months ago, we sent a big old pack of heirloom seeds, so you could start growing your own food. It's kind of, bushcraft stuff, books.
Right.
We also have for members, and when I mean members, I mean subscribers to the subscription box. You can go to, we got a store. I mean, you don't have to be a subscriber to go to our store and buy things, but if you want the subscription box, um, you sign up for that. It's a month. It comes to your door every month. Um, and there's 4 levels. You got a basic, advanced, pro, and pro plus level. So as you go up in level, you get everything that was given that month in the lower tiers. So if you're a Pro Plus subscriber, you get everything. If you're an advanced subscriber, you get advanced and basic, but you don't get Pro and Pro Plus. That's kind of how it works. So for an example, I just happen to have a mission brief here. So there'll be a card like this in here. So this one was mission brief 111. So this was box 111 that we sent out. And then it's got, everything. So just a write up that I do there. So basic box had a book, some Flitz renewal system stuff, some wound closure kits from My Medic, had a Ruck and River spice wallet in the basic. Advanced had a water purification system in there. The Pro box had a really cool flashlight from PowerTac. And then we had a Condor knife in the Pro Plus box. The Pro Plus is always going to have a knife or a cutting tool of some sort. It might be an axe, a hatchet, a saw, a multi-tool, something that has a sharp edge. A lot of people call it the knife of the month club.
Right.
But then we got what we call the battle vault, and that's kind of the best way to say it is a way into the store, and it changes the prices of everything. So you get exclusive deals as a member in that section of the store that's only accessed by members. There's training opportunities in there. There's stuff in there that's too expensive to put in the box in there. Like it could be, a daggone solar generator we might have in there for sale that's like got a really deep discount in comparison if you bought it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of perks to being a member. It's not all about just getting the box every month. It's about being a part of the community, getting access to the battle vault. We do giveaways every single month. We do all sorts of things for our subscribers. I typically do a live feed on the members only page on Facebook, and I typically give away a bunch of stuff just randomly to people. It's all about community, and that's the goal. Like we just want to encourage people to get outdoors and work on their skills. And if that's work on how to be a better camper, it's working on how to be a better camper. I don't care what you want to do. I just want you to get out there and do it.
And do it.
Um,
Yeah.
and if it's bushcrafting, you'll get bushcraft gear sometimes. If it's um, prepping, if it's you know bug out gear, if it's get home bag gear, whatever, you're gonna over time you're gonna get a really cool collection of stuff. And if it's something that you don't want or that you don't like, it's an amazing gift to your loved one. There's somebody in your family that'll take it, I
Somebody that
promise you.
wants it. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff gets taken by them anyway. Like we get emails all the time for guys that they're subscribers, and they're like, they sit down when they get their box, they sit down at the kitchen table with their family and they go through it, and they turn around next thing you know, everybody in the family's grabbed something and ran off, and he ain't got nothing, so he ends up having to come back to the store to buy his own his own
Right.
stuff, because his wife takes his knives and keeps them, or a blanket that we may have sent, or wool blanket, or tarps or whatever. It's pretty fun, man. It's a lot of fun, and I thoroughly enjoy doing what I do. And all the stuff I've tested, like we don't just pick anything and put it in there. It's a pretty big process to get in the box. Um, I've got stuff all over my desk right now that I'm testing out. And if it's crap, and you wouldn't believe how much crap I get. Like, I would say maybe, let's say 1 week I get 10 items in from 10 different companies. Maybe one or two will make it through it.
Really? Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? I try to be really
Scrutinizing.
particular,
Yeah. No, it definitely is a premium
you know?
box. We actually we promoted it way back like 2016, somewhere around. It had to be 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And they sent us a box, and we opened it up. I'll put the video on here. You guys can see it, but it's from a million years ago. But it was all like really quality premium stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
think the bonus too, they were like, oh, you can choose a box, like from any of the past.
Yeah.
And we did
So your first box, so the way it used to be set up was we had what we called a welcome box, and we would change it every year. But as a new subscriber, you would get the welcome box. So you knew what was going to be in it if you did any research, right?
it.
But it helped get you in rotation. So let's say we were on box 200, okay, which we're not there yet, but let's say we were. Say we were at mission 200 and you came in as a new subscriber. Let's just say we had mission 190 was the welcome box. So you would get that. And then the next month, when everybody that was already a subscriber would go into box 201, then your next one would be 201. And then you'd be on the normal rotation because it's a logistical nightmare. Okay. Keeping up with all this stuff. So, but now what we've done is as a new subscriber, there will be a list, an option that'll be a list where you can pick any of our past boxes that we have in stock,
Right.
or you can elect to get the box now. So by selecting the one that is of a past box, you'll get it immediately. Like it'll ship out next day or next 2 days, depending on if you ordered it on a weekend or whatever. Right? It'll go out to you as quick as possible. But if you select to go with the mission that's coming, you have to wait until we ship that box. But then you'll be on the normal rotation of numbers, be it whatever
Right.
number we're sending out. So and then we do promotions like right now I think we've got a kind of like a BOGO, if you will, buy one you get one. So as a new subscriber, if you select you want to subscribe to Pro Plus, you get the Pro Plus that's going to coming in the rotation, but you also get a second Pro Plus of a past mission absolutely free. So you get 2 boxes in your first month,
Pretty
and
awesome.
then then you're on just 1 box a month rotation. You can cancel at any time. You can upgrade or downgrade at any time. You just I think we bill on the 15th. So if you get billed on the 15th, we ship out the first week of the next month ish, depending on holidays, weekends, yada, yada, yada. So typically, say 3rd through the 9th, we're shipping out that month's mission. So, like August, what's the day? Today's like the 16th or something, right?
16th. Yep.
So yesterday, subscribers got billed, and they'll be getting their August box the 3rd through the 9th of August.
Nice.
And then August 15th, they'll get billed. They'll get their next month, 3rd through
Ah,
the 9th of next month.
definitely, it's like you said. I mean, you guys are putting a lot of thought into it because, like I said, we went through them and we were like, damn, every box, like we couldn't even choose, going through the old ones.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I don't know, that one's great, but that one has a cooler knife or whatever. It was all like,
Yeah.
man, and I think the knife won out. Whatever had the
Yeah.
coolest knife was like, oh, but
Yeah. And
that's
the
quite.
Pro Plus is our biggest seller. I mean, our
It really,
majority
yeah,
of our subscribers are Pro Plus.
you got to get
And
them
they
right.
fluctuate. Like, everybody's got a bad month sometimes, right? So you might be you might need to. Some people will be a Pro Plus for a few months, and then they'll go down to, Pro for a few months or something, and they bump back up. You just got to be sure you do it before the 15th, else it'll bill you
Right,
for
bill.
whatever you're signed
Yeah.
up for. But
All right.
it's really cool, man. I mean, I've really enjoyed the community that it's built, and the people I work with, and I mean, we got a great team. Um, and everybody's like, we're really looking out for the customer, um, and trying to build a really cool community, so it's not just about the box. um, we want people to meet other people, we want people to enjoy, we want people to get good deals, and we want people to be introduced to cool brands, and get outside, get freaking outside and do some stuff,
That's
man.
it. Something to push you to
you
go
know
use it. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the quality was definitely there. You guys, really are top shelf. I
I
was
appreciate
impressed
that.
when you guys reached out to do the episode. I was like, yeah, that's cool. We can do that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you're on it. So no, I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking your morning here, giving up your time.
Oh, anytime, man. I like
No,
talking to people. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I work by myself. I mean, I don't have people like,
right,
I'm
right.
kind of remote from the rest of the guys, so I communicate through them with messages and emails and stuff. So whenever I get a chance to kind of hang out and talk to somebody, I'm down, man, because I'm kind of by myself a lot.
That's it. But you get to ease into it. You don't have to
Yeah,
go to the huge crowd. It's like, all right,
yeah, yeah.
just
I like
sit.
being out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a reason you're out there, right?
There
That's
is a reason
that's
I'm
my
out here.
problem. I'm like,
I
God,
promise you, dude.
I
I
got to drive
promise
to
you.
work because it's a hike. I don't want to
Yeah.
be by people. But yeah, no, I'm with you. All right.
Um,
So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Battle Box. I put a link to us opening a battle box on the
yeah.
me and Kevin in the show notes. And yeah, no, I
And we
appreciate
got a
it.
we got an
Yeah.
event coming up called Battle Games in September. Um, so you do not have to be a member to potentially be a part of it. So we're doing a giveaway. It's a $5,000+ gear giveaway, and it's at battlegames.com. So if you go to battlegames.com, if you're listening to this before, I think it's the 1st of August or sometime in August, this cuts off. So whoever's listening to this 3 years from now don't work. But anyway,
Don't
you go
you
to
missed.
you go to Battle Games with no E because we don't know how to spell BATTLGAMES.
I know I was gonna point that out. I'm like, if you guys
Yeah,
want Battle Box, it's BATTL. No,
yeah, no
no,
E in battle. But
that's it.
so on there is a $5,000+ ish gear giveaway that we're doing, and so you can sign up for that. And what it also does is it puts you in a random drawing to potentially be a contestant in our battle games, which is in September of this year. So um, some subscribers are getting golden tickets in their box in August that has directions for them to uh,
No, we're too late
potentially
if we
be
want the August box because it's July 16th. We missed it, right?
correct.
We had to be already on top of the game. All right,
You had to be on top of the game, but non-subscribers have an opportunity to be in. So there's going to be subscribers and non-subscribers in this competition.
gotcha.
So for non-subscribers, you got to sign up for the $5,000 gear giveaway, and it also signs you up for potentially being in the battle games. And so you either win 5 grand worth of stuff, and or get selected for the battle games. Um, and in the battle games, the winner gets $25,000. So
Can't
there's
beat
going to
that.
be it's going to be an elimination type survival-ish competition. It's going to be difficult, but not like we're having fun with it. We're not. This isn't Survivor, right? We're not sending you
Right.
out there to freaking suffer, okay? But it's going to be fun. But you're going to need some skills to win this thing, and
And
it's going to be pretty neat. It's going to be pretty freaking neat. We're excited
yeah,
about it. It's something that we're wanting to do every year. This is our first year doing the battle games. Um,
nice.
Last year we did a Mission 100 giveaway. So we hit last July. We celebrated hitting our milestone of 100 boxes, and we had a potential of winning, somebody winning $100,000 at that. but nobody won it. You had to shoot a tank. We went down to this place called Drive Tanks in Texas. You had to hit a basketball with a tank. And whoever did it would win the 100 grand, but nobody did it. So, but this one, somebody's winning. It
Somebody's
may
gonna have
be
25 grand, and you can put together.
somebody's leaving with 25 grand.
You can put together a pretty nice gun for 25 grand. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, or a
So,
couple if you don't
or a
go
couple.
my route and buy the most expensive crap
Might
there
even
is
be
out
able to
there.
buy a cheap tank. I don't know. 25 grand, you could do some things.
You can do some stuff with 25 grand, man. I would gladly take 25 grand if somebody gave it to me.
Definitely
So.
better than a sharp stick in the eye.
Absolutely.
That's what I got. All right. So
Yeah.
with that, stay safe. Appreciate having you, Brandon. And we
Yeah,
will
buddy.
talk
Thanks for
to you
having me.
guys next week.